Hi everyone, my name is Ashwin. I'm a high school student in my junior year, and I want to talk to you about an incredible painting, the Starry Night. I think many people are familiar with this painting. It's pretty popular, so you might have seen it before. The Starry Night was painted by Vincent Van Gogh, a very famous Dutch artist. He painted many other masterpieces along with these, such as Branches with Almond, The Red Vineyard, and Irises, and of course, many more. The Starry Night was painted on June 18, 1889. At the time, Vincent was staying at a place that would help him with his difficulties. Vincent stayed there for a year, and during this time, he had painted around 150 paintings. One of these paintings was the Starry Night. Now, if you look at the self-portrait of Paul Gauguin, you may notice some things in the painting, such as a halo above his head, him holding a snake, and apples in the background. This is likely religious symbolism, and I may make another video going over this painting. This may seem odd for a self-portrait, but nonetheless a great example of Impressionism. The original Starry Night still exists today in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. As the painting is very popular, many people who may not know the name are still familiar with the image, and it is common to see it sold in some form of merchandise. Now that we've talked about Vincent van Gogh, let's dive deeper into what makes this painting stand out so much. To point out some of the obvious things, we see a crescent moon in the top right corner. This may not seem like much, but astronomers were able to work out that on June 18, 1889, the date that this painting was made, there was actually a full moon at the time. So this basically indicates that he wasn't really looking outside and was going more off his imagination. Or at least it could potentially indicate that. Now I'm showing this another painting of Vincent van Gogh's, The Wheat Field with Cypresses, because you can see this tall tree on the right, and if we look at the Starry Night, this image here that kind of looks like black flames may actually be cypress trees, and you can see the similarities between the images. The painting also has many stars, however the one I circled here may not have been a star but actually the planet Venus, according to astronomers. Along with this were these group of stars that formed the constellation Aries. What makes this more interesting is when we look at the recreation of the night sky on June 18, 1889, you can see there's the constellation Aries above Venus and a full moon. An important feature that makes the painting stand out so much is the usage of impasto. Impasto is an art technique that involves the application of thick amounts of paint, which may be spread using a palette knife. You can see how each individual stroke of paint stands out, making the swirls in the night sky such a pleasant sight. Impasto is an Italian term that translates to smooth or paste-like. This gives the painting a 3D effect. Now there are a few ways that you can use the impasto technique. You can apply a thick amount of paint in broad brush strokes, as if you were spreading jelly on a piece of toast with a butter knife. You can also simply dub paint onto the canvas with a palette knife, and as you pull the knife away, it stretches the paint to leave tiny crests, kind of like a meteorite. You can just use a rounded brush and create arcs and semicircles, and you can just simply paint in individual lines. This might not seem like anything mind-blowing, but you'll see that's what really makes this painting so interesting. Look at all the individual lines going around the stars, into the swirls, into the hills. So we've talked about Vincent van Gogh and the Starry Night. Now let me introduce you to a little project. You can recreate the Starry Night, and for a little twist, we'll make it with the combination of pop-up art. You may choose how you want to paint it. I did the project myself, and I want to show you how I approached it. So here are some of the materials I used. We need scissors to cut the paper to how we need it. This paper is good for acrylic painting, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. I didn't show it here, but I also had a cardboard box, which I will be attaching my paper to later. You may not need this, but it may make your project more solidified. However, if you want, you can just do like the previous example showed before. I folded my paper into two halves. One half I'm doing the actual painting, and the other half I will attach to the cardboard. I first made some sketches based on the painting. Then I started actually painting. I would really focus on the swirl that is made. It's almost like a yin and yang symbol. Afterwards, I tried applying the paint in the dubs, and I added swirls. I would recommend adding some stars and maybe focusing more on the blue colors, however I chose to add more yellows and greens. After finishing the background, I took a smaller piece of paper, like a rectangle, and also you may notice the fold down here, which is important. I drew the houses and painted. I did the same process with the cypress tree, and once again you will notice the folded and unpainted part, which I will attach later. So now you can see we have three pieces. I painted the other side of my paper that I will attach the houses and cypress tree to. So as you can see here, I took my cardboard box and glued the background floor to it, and the houses and the cypress trees will be on top. A quick thing to notice is that I also painted the white folds that, let me show here. So, like I said, I took those white folds and I painted over them, so that way just the white part wouldn't stand out. I used a box knife to cut the cardboard so it wouldn't block the actual project, but please be careful when you do this. Finally, I added some grass to the floor as a final touch, and here's my final project. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and I may even do it again to see if I can do it better. As I mentioned, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine, and I would try to focus more on the blues that really make the sky stand out. If you do decide to do this project, I hope you have fun. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and have a great day.